security and one is a Power Platform. But we've got a great program today. We're going to be talking about business growth and ideas behind, strategies behind, what you can do to help, increase your own revenue. I think by the conclusion of this meeting, you're going to be able to take away 4 or 5 key items. That you can actually implement right away. So we're going to be talking about that. It's going to be really great. It's a little bit different today. We don't have any ISV showcase today, so we're going to be kind of getting right into it. We have changed it up a couple things. Why don't we go ahead and go into the next slide? So just real quickly, we've added 2 more people to our organization as of recently. We have Ishmael and we have Blake that's coming on doing our network things. But what's also interesting, and we don't really talk too much about our organization on these calls because we really want this to be a learning experience. So we're always very careful. I think you can all appreciate that. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our month this month. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide. This month has been the biggest month of the Crancer group. We signed actually 13 partners. 11 of them are on this slide right here. 11 brand new that are on this slide, but 13 in total in 1 month. These are net new partners that are using our services. And basically, what we do, our specialty is we find people that are on the cloud consumption journey or the cloud adoption journey, and we actually produce leads for partners. So if you ever wonder, like, what do we really do? Break it down. That's what we do. We bring you opportunities. So it's just pretty cool. We don't normally kind of show this kind of stuff, but it's just such a great month. Kicking off the new fiscal year from Microsoft. We're just so darn excited. And we also want to thank 2 of our partners, specifically, Velocio, which is part of the Stratos Cloud Alliance. So if you're part of the Stratos Cloud Alliance, we partner with them to kind of help with some of their partners, and also Skykick with the backup offer. So I just want to go ahead and talk about that. Now, on this next thing, what I wanted to talk to you or show you really quick is last month we actually had Jonathan Davis and we had Skykick, and we talked about cybersecurity. That was a big cybersecurity. What are we looking for? What in the future? And very interestingly, Skykick put together a really nice montage of very interesting stats, and I think it'd be really good to play. So we're just going to play this really quick. It's 60 seconds. So go ahead and push play on that. Fantastic. That was a really good. And actually, Scott, if you're on the call, if you could just maybe unmute your mic and maybe turn on your video, I'd love to just kind of bring you in really quick, if you got a second. Or when you come on, if my team can let me know when you're up, I'll bring you in, and basically we talk just real briefly about Stratos Cloud Alliance partners when we get in there. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get to the next slide here, and I think he's coming up. There he is. Actually, before we get into the agenda, hey Scott, how you doing, brother?
Hey, glad to be on. I'm just going to call you Richard. I talked with Richard so much. Sherman.
Hey, just real briefly, I know we just played this stuff with Skykick. Would you mind just kind of talking just real briefly about Stratos Cloud Alliance, just for the partners who are here, and kind of maybe a brief value prop statement so they know who you are and why they should be talking to you?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great, and I appreciate it. I'll just take a short minute. Stratos Cloud Alliance, we're a Microsoft indirect provider, and we work with partners basically across the entire Microsoft Cloud platform. We support them, on solutions. Our specialty is within the Dynamics business application space. We partner with folks like the Crancer Group to help provide value add to our partners. We're working with the Crancer Group to do marketing programs, kind of co-op marketing programs through them. that take advantage of the Microsoft funding that's available. So we do all sorts of things other than just obviously do transactions for partners. We provide professional services. We provide marketing programs that are through partner. We have all types of partner relationships with folks like the Crancer group, with Skykick. We have great partners basically that would work with. Lots of them are on the call today, basically, and lots of them were on your slide. Basically, they're starting to work with you, and the Crancer group is an organization because they see the value that you're bringing. So, if anybody's interested in growing their Microsoft Cloud practice and specifically getting into Dynamics 365, we'd love to go through and speak with you and see how we can help you out and grow our businesses together.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. We'll probably bring you back in a little bit later. But thanks again for... Yeah, and let me tell you, Stratos Cloud Alliance, if you are in business applications, you are in Dynamics, you are looking to source your licensing directly, the fantastic organization, the fantastic partner development managers, fantastic marketing resources, and they really are keen on what can they do to help grow your business. You're not lost in the shuffle like you might be with some of the other major tier 2 distributors, not to be named there. But anyways, let's get over to the agenda really quickly. So we have our welcome. We're going to be doing this thing called mentee meter, which you're going to get into right away. So if everybody here could go click on the top, there's an icon right next to reactions. Go ahead and click on that mentee meter. I'm going to have we're going to have Kathleen here come and talk about it in a second, but just for right now, just click on that. Don't worry about it. We're going to talk. We have our guest speakers. We're going to do the partner spotlight. Then we're coming back again with another mentee meter, and this is where we're actually going to be winning some money. We want to do some more interactions, kind of test this out as a fun thing, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to Kathleen Barton. She's on our team, and she'll kind of walk us through our first chance to win some money. So Kathleen, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you so much for the intro. I'm super excited to facilitate our first ever mentee meter moolah quiz, as we're calling it. So we hope you've been paying attention to Microsoft Partner News. You might be able to win some money, as Sherman stated. So we're going to have 2 of these quizzes. This first one is really going to focus on just Microsoft Partner News, and you're going to have a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. So pay attention. So you can see here on the screen, as Sherman directed, go ahead and click on that mentee meter icon up at the top of your team's toolbar. It should be placed between the reactions button and the polls button. Everyone should see it there. This is going to prompt you to put in your name. So feel free to be silly, do a funny name, a nickname, whatever you want, something that matches your icon. They've got all kinds of wild things in there. I see Santa Claus is here as one of the icons. So feel free to be silly with it, but just make sure that you let us know after the quiz if you've won, so we can get you your money. Once you get in, you will put in your name, as I said, and then once we get the quiz started, you will see the question pop up on your right side pane there. It'll give you a second to read it before the countdown begins. So don't rush too fast. Make sure you take your time, read the question, and then you'll see the answers available to you where you can select. If you answer faster, you'll get more points. So you're more likely to win if you answer quick. Please note that there are going to be a couple of trick questions in here. So definitely pay attention to that. And then lastly, if you navigate away from the Mentimeter pane, if you go check on the chat or something, you see something popped up, don't worry. Once you go back to that Mentimeter button, it'll bring you right back to where you were. It'll save all your data. So don't worry about navigating away. And then, yeah, so we will go ahead and get started. I'm seeing a bunch of folks popping in here. I'm going to give you about 1 more minute. It looks like we have 52 attendees on the call, and I have 36 folks in the Mentimeter right now. So if you have not, please click on that Mentimeter button and go ahead and create a little profile for yourself. Give you 1 more minute here. All right, we got a couple more joining. I see some aliens. I see all kinds of crazy stuff. There's animals.
We did it at our offsite, and man, it was 15 of us, pandemonium. We're like, go, it's going to get us faster. It was so awesome. So I'm sorry, didn't mean to. Go ahead. Back to you, Kathleen.
Yeah, it's a good time. It'll be fun for sure. All right, so it looks like there are enough of us in there. Hopefully, if you are still trying to get in, you won't be straggling too far behind, but it looks like we have the majority here. So I am going to go ahead and start the first question. So you should have your Mentimeter pane open, and you're going to be prompted here in just a moment. All right, so just a reminder, if you answer fast, you're going to get more points. So this one's focused on solutions partner designation. So important dates here, but the question is focused on which date will they be available to attain. Let's see. All right, time's up there. And go ahead and advance so we could see who had the quickest fingers here. All right, it looks like we have Nick in the lead. If you can go ahead and advance slides, Riva. So just to kind of recap on that, there are all three of those dates that were highlighted in the quiz are significant dates. You can see some of the details here. I think we called it out in the chat, but if you click on that solutions partner link there at the bottom, it is a clickable link. That'll take you to more information. So a lot of good information here, but definitely wanted to call out some of those milestone dates. All right, question number 2. Let's see. So question number 2 is focused on NCE.
Got to answer quick. I think I was up to 4th place, but I really shouldn't be even playing this, or should I?
I should have said that.
I just
Our
can't
team
stop
is not
myself.
allowed to play. All right. If you guessed false, you were correct. That was one of those trick questions, right? Previously communicated that it would be no longer available starting July 11th. However, a business decision was made to continue supporting those legacy auto renewals beyond July 11th. So no date yet, but again, if you click the link there at the bottom of the screen, it'll give you, that announcement where it has a little more information for you. All right, moving on to question number 3. I'm gonna go ahead and get that countdown started here. This one should be an easy one. What does GDAP stand for? A couple of different options here.
And can you show, before our last question, can you show can you show like the group, the places, or is that just individual?
It's just individual on the pane.
Okay.
We'll have to figure out how to coordinate that next time without some of the back and forth. I will call out though, let's see, I can see the leaderboard over here. It looks like right now the Claw is in first place, followed by Nick the Bunny and Dylan, Dylan, if you win, you're not allowed to get anything. So just calling that out. All right. The next question is also focused on GDAP. So this might be one of our quick, trick questions. So there's a couple of different options here. We gave you a little bit longer to answer this one because there is a lot to read. So what ways will the GDAP transition impact partners late this year? Again, this one might be a trick question. So
I think I got it wrong.
I guessed.
All right.
Yeah, did you?
Time's up there. If you want to skip to the next slide, Riva. This was definitely a trick question. There were 3 of those answers that were actually correct. So this is a really small table. However, this is a really, really great table that shows some of those key milestones for GDAP transition. The last 3 highlighted here are the 3 answers that were correct on the different ways that, the phase out of DAP will affect partners. And again, that link at the bottom there is clickable. All right, this is our last question for this quiz, and we will get a winner. This one, again, should be like the easiest one. What does CIE stand for? Hopefully all of you guys know this one, but if you don't, talk to us. We can help you out here at the Crancer Group. All right, 3 seconds left. Oh, it looks like the majority got this one correct. Couple of outliers, but let's go ahead and check the leaderboard and see who won. You'll see in your pane if you were the winner, you should see some confetti coming down on you here in a moment, telling you which place you came in at. So congratulations to Nick the Bunny. Nick is our winner today. So Nick, if you want to go ahead and drop your details in the chat, Nick, email address specifically is what we're going to need to get you your Amazon gift card. But thanks for playing. So now that you're a little used to it, definitely pay attention to the rest of the presentation. We're going to be asking our partners some awesome questions, and there will be a quiz at the end and a chance to win some money. So pay attention. Back to you, Sherman.
Awesome. Hope you guys like that. Hey, let us know with reactions. Go to your reaction. Give me a thumbs up if you like that. We got a little bit better. Oh, awesome. That's cool. Okay. I thought that was kind of fun, right? That's cool. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next slide over here. I was going to get right into some content. These are our guest speakers. Hey, Brian and Walter, thank you and welcome coming to the show. Would you mind, I'm going to start with Brian. Do you mind introducing yourself and your role at AccountabillIT?
Sure. Brian Lamberger. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at AccountabillIT. So anything sales related, whether that's net new logo or upsell into the existing customer base, falls under my responsibility.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Walter.
Hi, Walter Silin with the Bauen Group. I'm kind of the CXO for our group. So you name it, I'm doing it. Sales, revenue, accounting, making coffee. That's what I do. Just keep the thing running.
You're the guy.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get to the next one. So what we're going to do here is we want to introduce their organizations a little bit so you can kind of go through their 60-second spots and really kind of understand how to work with them. So let's go ahead and play accountability. Oh, looks like we're having some network difficulties. You guys seeing that on your side as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's give it one more shot. All right. So let's do this. We'll get back to these two. Let's actually go straight into questions. If you don't mind, Brian and Walter, I just want to. We'll get back to these in just a moment if you want to. But let's.
If I can't describe us better than a video can, then buddy, you don't need me on this call. So let's go.
All right. Well, let's just get right into the content. Okay, let's just get into the content. We can take the slides down for right now, so we can get more of a focus on the speakers here. Why don't you go ahead? We'll start off with Brian. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and, in your opinion, what makes you unique in your space?
Yeah, so AccountabillIT started in August of 2016. We were founded as an MSP, and we were, of course, small at that time. We had 8 employees and a single customer. The guy who founded us had a long history of successful MSP ownership and running of businesses, so started again after he kind of got out of the business. We quickly, in November of 2016, did an acquisition, and that acquisition brought us to like 100 people kind of overnight from that original 8. The business really was focused on being an MSP, and with that first acquisition we did, we got a security operations center with that business and started diving into cybersecurity and being an MSSP. And that has grown for us tremendously kind of over these last, 5.5, 6 years. The business has a strategy of growth from both organic growth of net new customer logos and closing sales and acquisition. So to date, we've closed 4 acquisitions. Our goal is an acquisition or 2 per year for the next few years, to spread our footprint kind of across the U.S. We always look for MSPs that have services that are complementary to us. So maybe somebody who doesn't have a strong cybersecurity offering, so that we can cross-sell and upsell into that existing customer base. I think the thing that probably makes us unique in the MSP space is that I'm a full 24/7 shop in-house. I've got a 24/7 service desk, I've got a 24/7 knock, and I've got a 24/7 security operations center. In the MSSP space, I think what I bring along with that is the fact that we're focused on the Microsoft security solution stack. So we don't bring in anything like a SentinelOne or a CrowdStrike or anything else like that. When I'm selling cybersecurity solutions into a customer, it's all Microsoft. And different than pure play MSSPs, I've got all of the MSP resources, operational resources in the background, such that if there is any kind of issue, if there's remediation required, if there's patching required, if there's vulnerabilities identified, I've got all the people that can do that. They don't have to farm that out to somebody else to get that done. So my space in the industry is a little bit unique right now. I don't know of anybody doing it quite like we're doing it.
That's fantastic. I really love your approach. And that's kind of the reason why I brought you and Walter in here is I think you're both leaders in the industry and you have a lot to tell. I think a lot of the folks here, help them kind of maybe think of some new ideas and maybe ways to approach things. So thank you so much for that. Walter, if I could go to you, tell us a little bit about your business, because it's polarizingly different, right, than what Brian's doing, but equally important and a great addition to your space. So please tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so a little different history. We started in 2011, and we were focused on ERP software. That's kind of where I grew up, I guess, and then rebooted the business as a Microsoft partner around 16, 17 timeframe, and that reboot was. The employee count was this guy, and a few other contractors that I knew, and we were doing custom development. And I really was looking at this this pure C# custom development. It was just painstakingly slow, and I got into the Dynamics Power Platform world, and I fell in love with the low code, no code type development. And so, if you're gonna start your own company, you might as well have fun doing it. So pick something that you like doing. So that's what we did, and I just started adding on, and so now we've got a dozen consultants. We still have our trusted contractor friends that come in and help us, and we are by far the smallest company that has the advanced specialization for low code, no code development, but it's what we do, and we love doing it.
And that was a bit of a bear to get, but you did it, and I think that's quite an accomplishment, which actually kind of well, not segues, because we have another question that's going to go to that. But actually, I'll go back to Brian here. What would you say are 3 factors that you could highlight that's contributed to your organization's success?
Yeah, I would say in the Microsoft space, our partnership with Microsoft, for one, right? We've got a great partnership. I get referrals from Microsoft all the time into cybersecurity service offerings. So I think that's important for us, obviously, as a Microsoft partner. And I don't just rely on Microsoft, and understand where I'm coming from here. As a CRO, I'm going to come from a sales perspective on this. That's going to be my, right? So you're not going to hear operational excellence from me. You're going to hear about sales. So I'm going to apologize in advance for that. But for me, I think relying solely on Microsoft for leads doesn't supply us with enough leads for our growth plans. And so I like to have, I think having multiple vehicles for lead generation, whether that's digital, via marketing, it's Microsoft, it's other channel partners that we've got, it's other referral partners that we've got, email campaigns, all of that. I mean, in my mind, having sort of 8 to 10 lead generation vehicles is important. And that's included in that is pure hunting, right? Having people who are going to go out and make the dials and do the hard stuff of hearing no, 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 and still making those dials so that they are reaching out to people who haven't heard of us and who don't know us, but have a need for it. I mean, right now, everybody's got a need for cybersecurity. People who say they don't have their head in the sand. So that's important. The other thing, I think, then just beyond those two things is persistence. You have to be persistent in this game to be able to create, maintain, and cultivate the relationship with Microsoft. You have to be persistent in marketing efforts. You have to be persistent in sales efforts, right? There's it's said over and over and over. In order to reach somebody, you have to have 8 to 12 touches with that person, right? And throwing out an email and throwing out a phone call and saying, hey, they didn't call me back, so they're not interested, doesn't work. So persistence with a sales team and persistence with a marketing team, for me, has been driving our organic growth.
What a great, I really like that advice, actually. And that's one of the things that you and I talk about a lot, and Walter and I talk about a lot is that 2 email that a lot of our folks are doing. They're sending out those 2 emails, and then they're like, well, why didn't that person call me back? And, revenue, referral growth is very different from net new customer acquisition growth. It just is. And you have to be persistent. That is the key, persistence, and putting out there. It's just systemic though in our industry too, right? Because the way that most of our MSPs or MSSPs or ISVs have grown is basically, the referral business, 90% referral. So I love what you're talking about, because it does give some insight, I think, of what organizations should aspire to be. You have to build out that muscle. Walter, what would you say are the 3 factors that have highlighted, or that you could highlight that's contributed to your organization's success?
Well, I mean, persistence for me is number 1. I mean, you just have to be, right? And as a smaller partner, growing, literally from the ground up, we did exactly what you were talking about, and probably a lot of those pitfalls too. It's like, oh, well, let's wait for referrals and we'll see what happens. And we achieved some early certifications in the Power Platform, early iterations, and then we got some leads, and then the requirements changed. And as a smaller partner, you're right on the cusp, and then now the hurdle's higher, and so you've got to. It's not the right way to build the business. And I love what Brian said about it's not a consistent enough thing to help you meet your targets. And so what's really helped us accelerate has been diversifying out and really attacking a lot of different avenues. If standing on the corner and twirling a sign works, do it. I mean,
100%. I'm with you. Yep.
Walking billboards, just blanket the city, right? Just doing that.
Right.
But it's not just one thing, right? It's not just one thing, and that's the difference here. Is you can't be focused on one thing and hoping and praying that that's going to work that way. Oh, I love it, Amy. That's a good one. I like the GIF there. Sail. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the relationship, with Microsoft. Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about that. How has your relationships evolved with Microsoft over the years? Also knowing, okay, there's a caveat here. We all know that Microsoft can be difficult sometimes. But tell us, how would you say it's evolving or evolved?
Yeah. So our relationship with Microsoft really began in September of 2018 with one of the acquisitions that we did. We were wanting to get into the Azure cloud space, and there's the classic, build versus buy kind of scenario. Do I build that capability internally, or do I acquire someone? And we did an acquisition of a company called ClearPoint out of Little Rock, Arkansas. And ClearPoint had built up a nice relationship with Microsoft. But that relationship was mostly around, at the time that we did the acquisition, was mostly around Azure. Microsoft was bringing ClearPoint in to do a bunch of Azure governance sessions and helping people to understand what their spend was in Azure and how do they maintain it and a bunch of different things. And so we were doing these workshops, but we saw security on the horizon. And so we made the decision to kind of pivot away from that, which meant for us building a bunch of new relationships within Microsoft and understanding who we needed to go to and who we needed to leverage in this kind of brand new cybersecurity space for them. When Sentinel was released in late 2019, I want to say we were probably one of the first organizations to bring on a managed Sentinel customer. That was like November of 2019. And at the time we were engaging with Microsoft, I mean, we were actually doing Sentinel demos for their salespeople because they didn't really have a good lens on it or a handle on it. So our relationship looks a lot different now, because what we were known for before, we had to kind of draw a line in the sand and say, we're going to pivot away from that, and we want to be known for something else. And now my guess is there's probably like if you were to say accountability or ClearPoint and Azure governance within Microsoft, nobody would know what you're talking about, because I think we're known for cybersecurity. So that was a big risk for us to be able to decide, listen, we're going to move away from something that we're known for, and we're going to move toward the future. And that's the biggest change for us with that relationship. Of course, to what, kind of Walter described, is trying to understand how do you navigate all of that. And Crancer Group's a huge help with that. How do you navigate all of this? And now that you've reached a point where you can kick a field goal, now the goalpost has moved, and now you got to go a little bit further to be able to score, right? And so that's a continuing challenge for us. But the largest thing is this pivot away from what we were known for in Azure to what we were unknown for in cybersecurity.
That's fantastic. And, it's very interesting about what you're saying. And I'll just give some anecdotal, thoughts here. A lot of partners come up to me and be like, hey, Sherman, okay, I want to sell with Microsoft. I want to work with Microsoft. I want them to send me leads. And it's like, yeah, I think we all want to, we all want to, but they may not understand what it actually takes. Now, there's table stakes, first of all, right? Which we remember that advanced specialization we had to get, and all these little things that we had to get table stakes to be able to do it. But there's also a whole nother campaign. And I'll just, I know of a company that we do work with that currently their only thing they do, they've no longer even do net new customer acquisition or referral marketing. All they do is they have, a set of 15 people that all they do is market to Microsoft sellers. So they have a whole nother way of doing it. It's very interesting. I was like, wow, really? That's what he goes, yeah, well, we've evolved. We've penetrated like 14% of the major account list, and this is how we're doing it. And this is our only thing that we do. It's very interesting, but it just takes a lot more. It takes consistency. It takes strategy, right? And it's a whole nother motion. It's not just, basic referral or net new acquisition. It's, I need to have a strategy to work with sellers. Well, who are the sellers? All that kind of stuff. Right. Walter, how has yours changed, or how has yours evolved throughout the years?
Well, we started in the you remember the I think it's still around, the BizSpark program. We started off in that, and
wow.
Moved up, ground up. I mean, it was, that's like the starter of starter packs, getting into the Microsoft partner ecosystem. And then we just kind of slowly built up from there. And we've had some good PDMs that have kind of helped us evolve the business. And, here's for where you're at. Let's move you to here. Let's introduce you to these people and all that. And then, honestly, our interaction deeper into Microsoft, I felt like I was making good headway, and then there was this thing called COVID, and we stopped doing in-person events and things like that, which really kind of threw a wrench into some of that relationship building that I'd gotten used to. I'd been using the conferences as that avenue for doing that. So I'm looking forward to someday if we get back into doing those events. But yeah, and then I feel like especially this year, another thing that we've been doing with Microsoft is the X in a Day events, and we end up getting a lot of Microsoft people coming into our events to learn Power Apps and Power Virtual Agents and stuff like that. So pretty cool way to meet and greet the Microsoft folks, and look, we're kind of building some of those relationships that way now.
That's fantastic, and it's evolved, right? I mean, we've had some bumps in the road. Getting that advanced specialization was not easy, and getting some stuff in the back end not easy, but persistence. This kind of goes back to our persistence theme. Walter is the most persistent person with. I've seen the emails. Holy Moses, which is really great. Brian, there's a question in the chat window that came from Eric Van Bibber. How has being mostly vertical or vertically integrated helped or hindered you? Or are you? Yeah.
I'm going to assume that what he means is vertically integrated in the Microsoft security solution stack. So I'm hoping that's what he means, because that's how I'm going to answer it. And if Eric, if I'm not right, you can berate me in the chat. So I think it is a hindrance a little bit, just in that we're still in times right now where people don't associate a high level of enterprise cybersecurity protection with Microsoft. I mean, there's a lot of people that I deal with that still think of Microsoft as, the Azure guys, the Office guys, the Windows Server guys, and SQL, right? And so that's been an education, certainly, that we've had to go through, right? And so coming into sales opportunities where people have a bunch of different security tools, what they call best in breed, it's a challenge sometimes to describe why Microsoft is the right solution. Now, that being said, all I've got to do is put up a bunch of Forrester research and Gartner Magic Quadrants, and which show Microsoft in the upper right all the time in the Gartner Magic Quadrants for a lot of their security tools, and it begins to soften people's views on it. I think where it's helped is what I'm bringing to the table is a fully integrated solution that all of these disparate tools aren't gonna, like, if you've got Darktrace and you've got SentinelOne and you've got Cisco Umbrella and you got all these things that none of them are talking to each other, none of them are connected, and it's difficult to understand, A, where you're being covered, and B, like, people get alert fatigue, right? They will not. So many things will come out of those tools that they will never be able to. They'll never pay attention to them. So I look at, like, I'm bringing you this solution that is all connected with Azure Sentinel at the top, allowing us to ingest all of this rich data on security alerts and being able to surface that in a single pane of glass. To me, that's a value prop that I think people recognize, and if we can articulate it properly, right, we've got to be able to sell it properly. But if we can articulate it properly, people see the advantage in it, and we've had good success moving people.
That's another great answer. Moving on, I'm going to skip ahead a couple questions. I know that we're talking about industry, but I want to get into this multifaceted approach. So, the main reason I brought both of these gentlemen here on the call today is I feel that they're probably in the top 3% of all Microsoft partners when it comes to net new customer acquisition. Okay, so just think about that, right? They're doing all of the right things. So Walter, would you mind kind of elaborating on your multifaceted approach to marketing and kind of see, or your macro, it's not multifaceted, but your macro approach and let yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of jokingly call it air, land, and sea. It's we're doing email. We don't rely a ton on email, but we're doing email. We're doing content. We're doing LinkedIn. We're doing SEO. We're doing pay-per-click. And we're doing outbound phone calls. I mean, I feel like that's air, land, sea, semaphore, smoke signals, whatever we can do to get the word out. And I think the biggest thing, the biggest change for us really is, when I first started, like I said, alluded to before, it was like I was that partner you were talking about that's like, yeah, I want to sign up and get referrals. Okay, where are the referrals? What? They don't come in every single day, a couple times a day. And so over time, you start looking around and the next stage of the journey really, and I joked around with you about this one, but it's like, all right, what's that one thing that works? You sit there and you say, okay, if I'm not just going to wait for referrals, let's go for that one thing. And is it this? Is it that? And what you figure out is that one thing works for one customer, but it doesn't work for these other ones. So everything works for someone at some point. And that's really where when that finally clicked with me, I feel like that's where things really took off.
And that's exactly, because when we started, you only had really one. You only had really one pole in the water, per se, right? One or two.
Absolutely.
One or two. And now we have a whole bunch, and that's where it comes from. Brian, how about yourself? If you can help us understand your approach, your macro approach to marketing and sales and customer acquisition.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the same things that Walter described, certainly from a digital perspective. So I've got internal outbound dialers. I also augment that with a service that does outbound dialing for us to set appointments. The quality of those things varies, but I do augment with that. The other thing that we believe is an important channel for us, because of the solutions that we offer. I partner with VARs and ISVs and other MSPs that specifically with MSPs that aren't geographically competitive, and I provide them services. So I've done 24/7 end user service desk for other MSPs. I do cybersecurity. So my SOC solution with Azure Sentinel, I resell that through other MSPs to give them the capability to sell a very robust enterprise level security solution into their customers. I've got relationships with VARs who have great hardware and product sales relationships with their customers, and those customers want services. So then I resell services to those guys. That has been emerging for us over the last, like, say, 18 months. And it's a very important piece of our strategy for organic growth, because the beauty part about that is that if I'm partnering with somebody, with a VAR, with an MSP, they're doing their own demand generation. They're doing their own lead generation. I'm helping them come in and close a sale. I can take that piece, and I know I can close. I mean, the data I have suggests that my guys can close. So if I can really kind of offload that lead generation, that demand generation portion of it, it makes my job a lot easier. So that's been an important part of our growth over the last 18 months.
I think the important takeaway, for the folks that are on here, it's and maybe a different analogy, but it's multiple poles that are in the water. You're fishing for fish, but how many multiple poles do you have in it? You see those those big game fisher people, fishermen out there, they don't have just one and hoping and I'm going to get this, absolutely, I'm going to get the marlin. They end up having 4 or 5 or 6. But the same thing I think in here, we can't just rely on something. If you really want to grow, it's multiple avenues, right? Because the other thing too, which is so important, I think right now, is to understand that people are on the cloud adoption journey, but you don't know where they're at. It's hard to get somebody to tell you. You get a unicorn every once in a while, right? Galloping up, oh, I got a $1 million deal. Can you help me? And you're like, yes, it's amazing, right? But that's the unicorn, right? But so you don't know where they're on the journey. So you also need to understand the other principle of you need to be there and in front of them when they do raise their hand.
Yes.
Right? Right. That's the key. And that's
I don't want them to raise their hand, Sherman. I want them to. I just want to be standing right there, and they just turn around and go, "Hey, Walter, help me out." I mean, don't even let them raise their hand. Get up there and be there.
Yep.
Our advice, is when we bring SQL, sales qualified leads, to our partners, is 15 touches in the first 90 days. Calls and emails. So it's both, right? Calls and emails. And then after 90 days, then they go into a nurture program twice a month. But you want to be there, right? Because when they do, they're just like Walter's saying, and then it's, Walter, yeah, he's just been sending me some really cool stuff about Power Automate and Power Apps and how it's been working. I need to call him up, about those things. So I think it's just spot on with that. I think we've been kind of hitting this over and over again, the net new acquisition versus referral. We kind of talked about that. Let's get into, in your opinion, what are the critical steps that every partner needs to create a net new GTM type of campaign? What would you say?
Who do you want to go first?
I'll give it to you, Brian. I'll give it to you.
Yeah. So I think for us, when we look at this and we talk about go to market, in our organization, where that starts is capabilities internally, right? And capabilities from an operational or consulting perspective, right? A managed service or consulting perspective. So I've got to make sure I've got the right capabilities. And then I do also work, I've got internal marketing. I work with an external marketing firm as well. We then go into this sort of, okay, so what's the value drivers for us? Like, why is somebody going to, I don't like to focus on, in our space, there's a lot of people who focus on the pure tech of things, right? And especially from a sort of an MSP perspective. And what I find is when I use a go-to-market campaign, what I'm trying to do is solve problems and not needs. And the differentiation that I put into that is, a need is a technical requirement. A problem is something that the individual who's going to buy from me has, or that the business has. So I don't want to solve needs. I want to solve problems. Because when I get an emotional, when I can send an email campaign, or when I can do a social media post, or I can do a blog post on the website, and that speaks to somebody's problem, that is where I get, like, to me, that is an important factor in a go-to-market campaign, is to understand what are the individual or business problems I'm solving, not not the ones and the zeros and the nerd stuff. So for me, as we're looking at go-to-market campaigns, it's outcome based from a problem perspective, and that's where I start.
That's excellent advice. Walter, why don't we get into that? And then we're going to do 2 more questions pretty quickly so that we can get to the end of the hour. I know we're going fast here. Walter, what would you say is your critical steps that every partner needs to take?
Yeah, I think the most critical thing is for a smaller partner. That's been my experience, right? As a smaller partner, know what you do, and if it's not your specialty, don't try to be the one that does it. You leverage partners to help you. Leverage other partners. If you're not a cybersecurity company, find a good cybersecurity company to work with, and do it ahead of time. Don't wait till the opportunity's on the table and go, Let me get back to you. The deal's gone. You lost it. So go find somebody ahead of time. Go get those resources in place ahead of time, and then when the opportunity arises, boom, you know who to call, and you might already even have a pitch ready, and that's your go-to-market.
That's fantastic. So Akram has a quick question, and I'm gonna answer this. So he uses Zoom Info and other tools to hunt for new business. You can often find cell phone numbers. What is the panel's best advice on if and when to use cell phone numbers for prospecting? Has anyone used SMS text to prospect again? What is your advice and opinion? My opinion. Go ahead. You go first, Brian, and I'll mention mine. Go ahead.
I will say this. I don't mind using a cell phone for cold calling. If it's available out somewhere on the interwebs for people, I think a cell phone is just fine for cold calling. I wouldn't. I would not do SMS or text messaging kind of campaigning. To me, that just is. I hold my text more dear than I do my phone calls. so I don't want to. I don't want anybody in there. It drives me crazy. And if it's anybody I get a solicitation from in text messaging, they get immediately blocked.
I second that, and that's exactly how I behave. So
yep.
Block them.
Yep.
And I third that. I'm aggressive. I like aggressive things, but yeah, that one would be a little too much. I don't know. All right. So quickly, what is a growth rate you are looking to achieve year over year? And is having that target important, Walter?
100%. Yes, yes, the target's important, and yes, the target's 100%. And that sounds crazy, but like I said, we're smaller. We started from one. We're up to a couple dozen, and we've actually hit that target 2 out of the last 3 years. So.
All right.
That's awesome.
Brian, how about yourself?
Yeah, for me, I think our target is 20%, and important to note that we want most of that 20% to come from cybersecurity. Being in our space, we're private equity owned, and so cybersecurity revenue, you get a higher multiplier from a business valuation perspective than you do pure play MSP revenue. It was a little bit of that was in the video. It's more lucrative revenue dollar for dollar. And is it important to have the goal? It is. I think a lot of organizations that start small are just like, we want to grow, and nobody really knows what growth looks like, and nobody knows if you've did we win or did we lose this year or this quarter or whatever, right? So even if you don't make it, you gotta have something aspirational to go after to be able to measure success. And so yeah, you gotta have a goal for that.
Awesome. Dylan, I thought that was Akram's question when he raised his hand, or was that separate?
Hey guys, I'm just muting myself real quick. That was a separate question. Akram, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself real quick and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes. Hey, Akram.
Yes. How are you, everyone? Hope that you will fine. I have a question. I am seller expert on Amazon Marketplace. Recently, I moved the Saudi Arabian Marketplace, but the last experience was USA and Canada Marketplace. But some products are not sell expected good. What is the reason, actually?
I'm not sure that I'm a good person to answer that for sure.
Akram, why don't we do this? I can help you with that. Just real simple. Why don't we? I'll send you a calendar invite, and we can just talk about that. No problem. No pressure. I'll be happy to walk you through the different co-sell things. No problem at all. And I apologize, we can't answer that on this one. That's probably a little bit deeper, but happy to help you. We are coming up at time, but I want to get into our last Mentee Meter one. This is really going to be really fun because this is based on the questions that we asked here. So back to you, Kathleen. I'm going to have you come on, and then you're going to run the next session here. And then after that, and last thing, thank you, both you guys, for coming on. Really appreciate this. And these guys are great to partner with. We'll send you their infographics and the PowerPoints afterwards. And back to Kathleen's. I want to get this. We want to land the plane. We're probably gonna be like 3 or 4 minutes afterwards, but let's just rock with this one. All right, let's go. Let's get into Mentimeter.
Awesome. Thanks, Sherman. Yeah, so definitely stick around for a couple more minutes for that chance to win $50. You can see the instructions here, just another reminder. So click on that Mentimeter button at the top. If you missed the first one, you'll be prompted to enter your name. If you join the last quiz, it'll input your name for you. You might get a new icon or something. You'll get a couple of seconds to see the question before the timer starts. I did shorten your timer this time because we're limited on time, and they should be a little more rapid fire. But let's see how many people we have in here. So it looks like we have 45 attendees. We only have 19 of you in the quiz, so definitely join. Grab that Mentimeter button. You don't want to miss out on winning $50. It's 50 free dollars here. All right, seeing more pop in. Cool. So let's go ahead and get started on this one. Again, if you're just joining, hit that Mentimeter button, quickly input your name, and then let's roll with it. All right, and these questions are based on the discussion that we just had. So name one of the 3 factors that contribute to the success of both AIT and the Bauen Group. So again, there might be a couple of trick questions in here. There might be a couple of right answers, but what's one of those things that they talked about? All right, so if you selected persistence in sales and marketing efforts and multiple vehicles for lead generation, you are correct. We got quite a few right answers on that one. Great job. Let's go into the next one here. Again, answer faster for more points. What name did Walter jokingly use to describe his multifaceted approach to sales and marketing? So he said it a couple of times. I kind of liked it. So I grabbed that one. 3 seconds here. Let's see what you got. All right, most of you answered correctly. Good job. So if you answered air, land, and sea, you were correct. It looks like we have Shammy in the lead here with the Shamrock. I like that you guys are just like being really literal with your names with whatever your icon is. It's great. All right, next question. What is something that AIT is doing in their multifaceted approach to sales and marketing? Four seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. All right, we had 100% of the audience answer that one correctly. So, Brian, point heard. Woo. All right, you guys are doing really good with your answers here. Looks like we have a new leader, Q. Sweet. Q, the tiger is in the lead now. All right, question number 4, and then we just have one more after this one. What are the most critical steps for partners to create a net new acquisition go-to-market campaign?
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. It might be the
Customer version experience.
Very flattering. A handful of you thought that our shameless plug was, one of those critical steps. So that's good to know. Follow up with us later. All right. Looks like we have a new leader. Nope, just kidding. Q, you're still in the lead. All right. We have one more question here. We'll see if Q can maintain their lead. What growth rate goal was mentioned by the partners? So you had to have been paying attention to that last part there. There was a percentage growth rate that they both mentioned. What was that number? Time's up. Oh, that was such a trick question. It was split 10 and 10. So the correct answer was 100% for the Bauen Group, 20% for AIT. Half of you actually got that flip-flop, but shows that you were still listening in some capacity. So let's see what we got here. It looks like Metal took the lead from Q. So Metal is this icon, which is super fun. Yeah. Metal, go ahead and drop your details in the chat so that we can get you your prize. And thank you so much for participating. Hopefully that was fun for you guys.
All right. So, hey, next month we're going to be doing some Inspire recap. We're going to go ahead and, there's a link to this. We're going to send out to all you attendees the link to the PowerPoint, but you can click on this right now and go ahead and pre-register, or you can have us pre-register for you. So we just take you from here. Just go ahead and push yes on the pre-registration. We'll go ahead and just type in your email and your name. You'll just get an invite there. Just very simple, but it should be good. It's always the last Friday of every month that we do this. Walter, Brian, thanks again. Really appreciate it. I think we've got a lot of people here that already said thank you, and sharing your insights. It's really valuable.
Yeah, happy to do it. I really appreciate you having us on today. It was really great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. Anytime.
Now, if you are looking to partner with the Power Apps, or just a Power Platform, Walter's great in his group, and then also as an MSSP, please, we endorse them, publicly. They are really two fantastic organizations. And Scott May, thank you so much from Velocio standpoint, and we'll talk to you guys all later. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great afternoon.